Inherited traits. Have you ever wondered why some kids look so much like their parents? In this video, you're going to learn about something called inherited traits. A person's physical characteristics are determined by his or her genes or DNA. That DNA comes from both the mother and the father of the person. Physical traits are observable characteristics. While each of us shares some of our traits with many people, our own individual combination of traits is what makes us look unique. Although at times we may think that we get our traits from our aunts, uncles, cousins, and siblings because we may look like them, it actually is, the fact is, we actually just get our traits inherited from our parents, and by extension, our grandparents as well. Physical traits are determined by specific segments of DNA called genes. Multiple genes are grouped together to form chromosomes, which reside in the nucleus of the cell. Every cell, except egg and sperm, in an individual's body contains 2 copies of each gene. This is due to the fact that both the mother and father contribute a copy at the time of conception. This original genetic material is copied each time a cell divides so that the cell contains the same DNA. Genes store the information needed for a cell to assemble proteins, which eventually yield specific traits. Most physical traits are determined by several genes, but some traits are due to only one gene and its alleles. There are predictable patterns to show dominant and recessive traits. In the next part of the video, you're going to explore different traits, or a small number of them, that may be due to only one gene and its allele. Attached earlobes, or earlobe attachment. Some scientists have reported that this trait is due to a single gene, for which unattached earlobes is dominant, and attached earlobes is recessive. Other scientists have reported that this trait is probably due to several genes. Thumb extension. This trait is reportedly due to a single gene. Straight thumb is dominant, whereas a hitchhiker thumb is recessive. Tongue rolling ability. Tongue rolling ability may be due to a single gene, with the ability to roll the tongue as a dominant trait and the lack of rolling tongue ability as a recessive trait. However, many twins do not share this trait, so it may not be inherited. Dimples. Dimples are also reportedly due to a single trait, with dimples being dominant. People may exhibit a dimple on only one side of the face, which still means they carry the dominant trait, and a lack of dimples means it's recessive. Handedness. Some scientists have reported that handedness is due to a single gene, with right-handedness being dominant and left-handedness being recessive. However, other scientists have also reported that the interaction of 2 genes is responsible for that trait. Freckles. You can blame freckles on the trait on a single gene. The presence of freckles is dominant, whereas the absence of freckles is recessive. Curliness of hair. Early geneticists reported that curly hair was dominant and straight hair was recessive. Most recent scientists believe that more than one gene is involved, however. Cleft chin. This trait is reportedly due to a single gene, with a cleft chin being dominant and a smooth chin being recessive. Allergies. While allergic reactions are induced by many things by person that they come in contact, such as dust, particular foods, and pollen, the tendency to have allergies is inherited. If a parent has allergies, there's a 1 in 4 chance, or 25% chance, that their child will also have allergy problems. This risk increases if both parents have allergies. Hairline shape. This trait is reportedly due to a single gene, with a widow peak being dominant and a straight hairline being recessive. The widow peak can be seen in the bottom picture, and the straight hair can be seen in the top picture. Hand clasping. Some scientists report that there are many genetic components to this trait, while others found that there's no evidence to support this one. The way that you clasp your hands, whether you put your left thumb over or your right thumb over, can be considered an inherited trait. Finally, the last trait we're going to talk about is colorblindness. Colorblindness is due to a recessive allele located on the X chromosome. Women have 2 X chromosomes, one of which usually carries the allele for normal color vision. Therefore, few women are colorblind. Men only have 1 X chromosome, so if they carry the allele for colorblindness, they will exhibit the trait. Thus, colorblindness is seen more frequently in men than in women. This trait is called a sex-linked inherited trait. In the activity to follow, you will be looking at the different traits that people share, not to trace back where they get these traits from, but rather to look at the frequencies or how common they are. So we're going to gather data from our class and potentially other classes as well to look at the percentage of recessive and dominant traits according to these inherited traits.